Hi, folks. So we already started talking, and I realized I didn't hit record because I got excited. So, real quick catch up with the consistency challenge here in the month of January that's going to be going on for 4 weeks. I'm going to be giving away one of Jess Beacom's, or over here. She's over here on my screen. I don't know where she's going to be on your screen, but one of her cookbooks. She's a registered dietitian, actually lives here in Boulder. Yeah, long story. You missed the story during the prequel. But she's also, I bought the last cookbook, hard copy cookbook. She's let me know. But then Jess has offered to extend 6 more cookbooks that I'm going to give away throughout the year, each month. So the first person that is the name that I draw for this next consistency challenge, you're going to get 30 minutes with me to kind of hash things out and get kind of realistic on some initial goals and habits and things like that. If you don't know anything about me outside of strength and conditioning, I'm a real big habits coach. So that's what health coaching is. We work on building habits. Okay. But the second place person, I don't even want to say second place, the second winner is going to get the cookbook. So I bought the last hard copy book. And then going forward, Jess is going to give away a few more cookbooks. She extended that offer to all of you. So, Jess, I really appreciate that. Really, really appreciate that. Okay, so let's dive in because I don't want these videos to be too long because then people are just not going to be more inclined to actually watch the recording. Because I don't know about you all, but I am in a mastermind right now with like my business coach that I've worked with for years. And sometimes I just don't watch the recording unless it's like a topic that I'm really passionate about or I need to know about. So I'm just being honest. So I want to keep these a little bit more succinct because I do have a tendency to talk a lot. We're trying to work on that. So first things first, today in the app, it's Wednesday, January 10th, you're going to find a habit check-in that is going to be all about checking in on your values, your core values. And I do include a link to a worksheet. If you have trouble downloading that, let me know, shoot me an email. I will gladly email it to you all. And I think I'm actually now able to post things in the group chat in the app that includes like an actual document. So I'm going to upload that as a nice little reminder because if I'm not mistaken on the calendar, you should be able to go back into like today's, if you happen to miss it, you should be able to go back into today's habit check and check it off. So you get a little extra points. I don't remember what I assigned. I think 10 points to do these weekly habits that we're going to be doing 1 day a week. And it'll be every Wednesday. That way it's pretty easy because hump day. Um, and it'll just be a way for you to really get in tune with how we're going to progress through this month. So this week, we're working on core values. And I don't know if you all follow Adam Grant. Adam Grant is a performance coach that I really enjoy listening to and just gathering information from. He has done various amounts of cameo appearances as well in like Billions. If you watched that show, I was a sucker for Billions. So he was a cameo appearance in Billions as well as other shows. But, anyways, he's a performance coach and he really talks about the mentality of things beforehand, like when it comes to your overall performance. And he had a post today literally word for word of what we're going to be talking about tonight. And that's that you can have all the goals in the world rather, but if your core values don't really necessarily align with that, or rather, let me reverse that. If your goals don't necessarily align with your core values, then there's going to be a disconnect. You're not going to be as engaged in order to really pursue your goals. Okay. So that's why it's really important. And I'm not trying to, you know, beat a drum to death, but it's important to kind of know who you are. And um, doing the core values reflection is, for me, has been valuable over the years. And I personally reevaluate it semi-annually to annually. Okay. Some folks do it, quarterly or what have you. Just do whatever feels good to you. There's no right or wrong way. But it is nice to kind of check in with it. It'll take you a few moments, especially to go through the list. It's a condensed list, and it's very similar to lists that I've used over the years from James Clear and other habits coaches. And it contains a lot of the core values that I feel like resonate with most people, instead of looking at a list of like 100 core values, which can be pretty overwhelming. So take a moment. It'll take about 10 minutes or less. Depends on how much you want to spend on it. Dial in your core values. I think I shared on the last one But just so you all know, like for me, it's usually along the lines of like compassion and honesty. I definitely went down the honesty rabbit hole today on Instagram in my stories, because it's a very passionate thing for me, especially when it comes to like research and validity. Honesty is so important because I feel like people's health can be at risk. So honesty is something that obviously reared its ugly head today for me, but it was a nice reminder. And going into tonight's discussion, I told myself, like this is a part of who I am, and I need to respect that. And the fact that I have the compassion for others goes hand in hand with that. So I have a couple more core values, but those are just a couple of, just so you can kind of know where I stand, and why certain things that I talk about, and why I try to be as evidence-based as I can be in my approach with coaching, why I try to convey that with the Shred Strong crew. All right. Because it's so important. I mean, trust me, I could give you finishers with burpees and I don't know, handstands and all this other stuff. But is it purposeful for the training that we're doing from like? Not necessarily. Okay. So values. Get clear on that. That's all I'm going to say. Take the few minutes to do it. It is actually a really cool experience to kind of get clear on that. But go through the list, maybe narrow it down to the top 5 to 10, and then circle the ones, or circle the 5 to 10 that really resonate with you on the list, and then narrow it down to about 3 to 5, because that will give you a little bit of a broad idea. 3 is kind of ideal, but I usually have 4. Okay. So goals. Let's talk about goal setting real quick. And I'm going to do this in a very succinct way. You're going to have one big ass, hairy, audacious goal. All right. And that is going to be an overarching goal. Ideally, it doesn't have to be a race, it doesn't have to be an event, it doesn't have to be anything like that, or it can be. I know for me, it is an event. And I'll tell you how I'm gonna kind of break it down. And that way it can give you a little bit of an idea. And I'll give some examples about another athlete that I'm working with. Don't worry, everything's going to be private. But it'll give you an idea on how we kind of break down those steps to get to that big, audacious, hairy goal. All right. So you have one big, audacious, hairy goal. All right. Your bag. um, the thing with the big, audacious, hairy goal is ideally it should be something that is relatively in your control. Now, of course, I know, not everything's in your control, but really nothing's in your control. But you don't, what I'm trying to say is you don't want to say, hey, I want to get on the podium at this race. Because quite honestly, it can be unrealistic, right? You might want to consider that to be a performance goal, like kind of a performance metric, like, hey, that's an ideal thing. Like, I want to do top 10, I want to do this. But please know that to have that as your end goal can kind of sink you a little bit, all right? Both emotionally, physically, and mentally, okay? And I feel like it's very important just to get clear on an end goal, like a field goal, or what is that called in football? Like that. Yeah, I think it's field goal, right? I don't know. I'm not a football player, but that thing at the end, all right? You want that to be in vision, all right? Um, then you're going to take that down, or you're going to look at that end goal, and you're going to think, okay, what are the daily or weekly habits that I need to kind of break down in order to do that, in order to get to that end goal? What are the things that are behavioral changes, i.e., habits, that make that come to fruition? All right. So, process goals are going to be the core of a lot of things. And I really recommend it really in anything, whether it's academic or occupational. It doesn't necessarily have to be health or wellness centric, it could be anything in life, but really just breaking it down into those daily or weekly habits that you're really wanting to set and make them so. All right. Um, so think of the steps to get to that big, audacious, hairy goal, and that will give you the roadmap to whatever that football reference is, the end goal, field goal. I don't know. I married into a Chiefs family. I have no idea. I just watched the Chiefs blindly.
End
um,
zone.
what'd you say, Aaron?
The end zone.
The end zone. Yeah, but thank you. But what field goal? Isn't that a field goal, right? Right?
That's only if you don't want to actually win the game, but yeah,
Yeah,
field
exactly.
goals are over there too.
So just keep the feel good. Thank you, Aaron. I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, You want an insight and you need to break it down. So succinctly, maybe you've seen on my stories, I got into the lottery, the Leadville 100 mountain bike race. Super stoked about it. I have no idea if I'm going to be able to finish. I'm going basically from like, I feel like couch to like Leadville. I know some friends that I ride with are like, Jen, that's not right. You know, that's not true. But no, seriously, I have like no cardio, especially since I had to really put things on a back burner after COVID. I was just like, oh, okay, my heart can't handle this. I got to slow down. So Leadville 100, because now or never, I'm going to be 45 years old this year. Amazing. So I'm going to use this as like a little celebratory thing. And hopefully I'll be able to get past Twin Lakes. That's my goal. So my goal, my overarching goal, is to get to Leadville. All right. I've got basically a race every single month between April and then, and Leadville is in August. All right. So I have a good 7, 8 months of training ahead of me. A lot of base building. Okay. Now, in order for me to get to Leadville, there's going to be plenty of things that I need to do to get there. All right. And you may or may not believe what the hell I'm about to say. Oh, wait, I should actually have my note up. That way I don't ramble. But I can tell you right now that, oh, Leadville, look, I have a freaking equipment note. God damn it. Give me a second. I can tell you right now that um, I don't have it easily accessible, but I can tell you ultimately, sleep. If I don't sleep, I am useless. And kudos to every parent that's here in the group who especially has younger children, because that crap is hard. All right. It is very difficult. It is very complex. It is sometimes hit or miss. For me, I do actually have a brain cyst that does impact my sleep. So it is a little bit out of my control. Um, and it's a cyst that can't be, operated on. It's like in the middle of my brain. So it can impact my circadian rhythm. But because of that, now I'm not gonna let that little fucker impact me. All right. I should probably put a not suitable for work thing on this when I post it. But I'm not going to let that control me as best as I can. I'm going to at least try to take control of the things that I do have control over. All right. Bedtime routine, huge. So no scrolling. I'm gonna try. I've been meditating. I've been doing all the hippy dippy stuff right before bed. So I've been doing my meditation, and especially what's really helping me is my journaling before bed, just so I can kind of let anything go that's bothering me. So I'm focusing on my bedtime routine. Maybe this is something that's going to resonate for you as one of those process goals that will get you to your end goal. I will say sleep is a very common process goal for a lot of athletes that I work with who are performing at a high level. Okay, these are individuals who are performing at masters or below, and really trying to cat up in everything from cross to gravel to anything that the USAC is doing, depending on their guidelines that they keep changing. So sleep is incredibly important. My nutrition's pretty much dialed. So because it's automatic, and I don't mean that to come off as cocky by any means, but I'm not a big snacker. I don't really have an emotional hang up with food much anymore. Believe me, I've worked on that. Um, but my big focus is like protein at every meal, hands down. That really helps for me as going soon to be 45-year-old female. It helps me with recovery and it helps me with fullness and satiety and things like that. And that's what works for me. Um, and then, of course, really having carb driven meals before my workouts and after my workouts, and especially before intervals and things like that. Um, you do you, all right? But that is ultimately what works for me. And that's kind of what research is showing is really effective for folks who are in the more endurance or intense type of training. Okay. Carbs can be your friend. They're not an evil thing by any means. But just really making sure that I maintain my nutrition. So sleep, maintain my nutrition, maintain my hydration, which for some reason, as Jess is drinking, for some reason, hydration, I don't know why, the last like 48 hours, I've done absolute rubbish in my hydration. I don't know if it's, I don't know. I really don't know. I've had kind of a busier couple of days, and maybe that's you. So for me today, I really dialed it in and I had my large little emotional support water bottle with me at all times throughout the house. And then I started off with 1 big glass of this. Oh, you can't see it because I blurred out my background. 16-ounce glass of water here. I did squeeze a little bit of lemon in it, not because it's magical or anything like that. It's just I like lemon water. I'm from Florida, okay? I like citrus. So yeah, some lemon water, plus it adds some flavor. And then I had a protein shake, which is water. And then I had a matcha. So I'm counting all that stuff. All right. So it's adding up. So I'm really focusing on hydration because that is something I have got to get better on the bike. I don't know about you all, but I am not the best at hydrating on the bike unless I have a bag on, unless I have my like hip pack or something on. For my setup for Leadville and any type of endurance riding, if you're interested in endurance mountain biking, it's going to be a little bit of a different setup, but I will have a tiny, kind of close to me backpack. So those are going to be the three top things that I'm doing in terms of just self-care. All right. The next thing is, of course, my training. All right. So I'm going to be doing 2 to 3 days of strength still. So yeah, I know I'm doing endurance mountain biking, but strength is incredibly important because I need power to get up these climbs that I have ahead of me. All right. And I need the strength and stability on the bike in order to do the fast descent. So I'm going to be doing 2 to 3 days of Shred Strong mixed in with some of the training because I did hire a coach. Some of the training that he is providing, which is a little bit more coordination, which we'll talk about because that's going to be coming up in Shred Strong because I've gotten some ideas with training with him. This is why I hire a coach every few years because I learn. I learn from the best and then I can give the best, which is great. But training and then, of course, bike intervals. All right. I need to get my baseline. I know. I'm doing zone 2 once a week, doing an endurance ride once a week. So that's about 3 to 4 hours right there. And then for now, and then I'm doing a tempo intervals and then like a levels interval. Okay. So about 4 days on the bike right now. That will eventually get up to 5 to 6. And I'll still maintain strength because that is one thing I love about the coach that I hired is he's not a coach that is like, no, absolutely no strength. The last few weeks, I will be just probably doing core and like minimal stuff for strength. I'm not going to be lifting heavy the like several weeks leading up to Leadville. But that just gives you an idea of the map that I'm giving myself. Like, great, I'm setting a minimum. Now, when it comes to my workouts, I'm setting a minimum. So I'm setting 2 days a week for my strength. The bonus is 3 days a week for strength. All right. And then of course I'm doing yoga by Agnes, which if you haven't done it yet, I highly recommend it. It's great. I love her to pieces. I'm so glad. Yeah, I'm so glad that I heard her for you all. But then my bonus for bikes, I mean, I'm nailing all my bike intervals. Like, yeah, I hired a coach. I don't want to, yeah, I'm the type of person where I'm like, I don't want to disappoint him. That's why I hired a coach for accountability because I am guilty. And I've said this before on podcast episodes that I've published and everything. I will let my intervals slide, especially indoor. And it's funny because I enjoy indoor intervals, but at the end of the day, it's the hardest thing to do just to get the energy. So that gives you an idea. That's the 5 minute recap of just me outlining this game plan for myself. Okay. Other people in the group, they're training for the Firecracker 50 and things like that. And we're doing the same thing. What are the weekly and daily things that you need to do? And really just trying to capture those little steps that they need to take in order to get there. All right. So hopefully that kind of helped. Um, on that note, does anyone want to unmute and maybe talk about your big, hairy, audacious goal? Because we have time. It's only 6:25, so this is great. And we can talk about it. We also cannot talk about it. I mean, it's totally up to you. I don't want to put anyone on the spot. Or even if you're thinking about a goal and you just want help on, narrowing it down and stuff, by all means, let me know. Erin needs 30 more seconds. She's probably at the last bit of her interval session. Anyone else? I'm here for you. Anyone? Anyone? No? 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 Okay. Kara's doing her inside interval. I'm here for it. I got messages of folks saying, I'm sorry, I can't make it. I'm going to go to the gym. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Go to the gym. I love that. It's the only chance they could go to the gym.
All right. I'm done. Yay.
Yeah. High fives.
No
What's
canyon
yours?
intervals are done.
High fives. Boom. Boom.
Yeah. Yeah. It's my little pain cave.
I love it.
Um, yeah, so I had really big goals last year. So my big goal last year was to qualify for the sorry, let me get off my bike. The 70.3 World Championship race, and I actually achieved that goal, and it was like the most magical, incredible day. So this year I'm like, all right, I got like a little like, confidence. So I'm gonna try to get another World Championship spot and go to New Zealand in December. But along with that, I have more soft goals of I want to spend more time on dirt. So kind of how I'm strategizing my season is I'm doing Fat Bike Worlds in 2.5 weeks because that fits in with triathlon really well, right? But it gets me on my bike. I'm riding three
And
hours.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah, outside, so it's strength work, but then like I did 3 hours of
Mhm.
hard intervals on the trainer on Sunday, and normally I wouldn't be doing that this early in my season. So it's giving my bike a boost. So kind of an intermediate goal to keep me motivated for the hard work because I know February through May 4th is going to be heads down, do work, super boring, pep talks, lots of pastries.
Yeah, I like
all,
that.
all of that stuff, right?
Uh-huh.
And then once I get through that, I'm going to give myself a little bit of time. I'll know right away if I qualified or not. But then I have the rest of my season is like a little more fun and skill related. So I've got some gravel triathlons. I'm doing the national championship gravel triathlon race in Michigan,
Mhm.
which will be fun. I've got some Xteras. My husband and I are going to do lots of riding. Hopefully, Jen, I can help support you with some rides and join you.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of planning like a big bump early season, which is hard in Colorado to have a May race for the
Mhm.
motivation. And then I've got kind of like a little bit of fun time. And then if I am lucky enough, then it's kind of get up and go around October and remotivate myself.
Yeah. Do you know how you're breaking down your, I mean, you have a coach too. You
Yeah,
have
I
your,
have a coach, but
yeah.
I coach too, so I have an idea.
Do you have an idea? Because that's going to be the biggest thing is you just don't want to light your matches. Like, I mean, like kind of like what we talked about over croissants. Um, like you just don't want to light your matches too soon. And I don't think you're going to, based on what we've talked about, but that's going to be the biggest thing. It's just making sure you're not peaking too soon and then giving yourself a little bit of a break between the events.
Yep.
You know? So yeah, as long as you get clear on that and we talked about nutrition and stuff and maybe just getting a little bit more aware of that and making sure that you're fueling enough for all of the training that you're doing. For those of you, watching, so Erin's the one that won like overall points because she's always freaking working out because she's a triathlete. So she's, swimming and running and she'll do like a lot of two-a-days and things like that. So it was pretty funny to like watch your point accumulation go up.
And I'm almost 48
Yeah, exactly. So like not,
with a full-time job.
yeah, with a full-time job. So it is a lot to balance and very needy cats too. Um, so it's definitely a lot to balance. And I think it's just really important just to make sure that you're making the space for the week for your training, but then also recovery. So what's your recovery look like?
So I'm a yoga teacher, just for a plug. If anyone wants to come see me, I teach at Castle Rock Rec Center on Tuesday nights. I think
Oh,
it's like $8 or
Renee.
$9 drop in for the whole rec center. And so I'll go and lift with all the little high school gross kids, and then I'll go teach yoga, which is pretty
Yeah.
funny.
So Renee's
Uh,
in Castle Rock. So maybe we can, if Renee's, yeah.
yeah, come join
Okay.
me. And then we
Yeah.
have a summer series that's free outside, and I teach a bunch of those too. It's super fun.
We should
But
wait, what day of
so
the week is the summer series? Hold on.
So it's Monday nights
Okay.
in Festival Park, downtown Castle Rock, and then Sundays at the Mac. And
We'll
I
have
do
to
more than Monday nights because Sundays I'm usually riding my bike somewhere.
We'll have to do like a shred strong one day.
Yeah, come.
Weekends might
I
be
talked
easy.
to 100 people one day, and that was bananas.
But anyway, sorry to interject. I just had an
Yeah, yeah.
idea. Whenever I have an idea, I get.
Field trip. I would love that. And I can save you guys some spots too. But yeah, so I do yoga. I do hot yoga on Monday nights, and that's kind of two folds. That gives me my big days are Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So having that Monday hot yoga just helps kind of like rinse everything out. But then I get heat acclimation also because I tend to do hot races, which also is really hard to do in the winter. Um, let's see, I had Tuesday's recovery run. And then it kind of builds in there. I usually have like one aerobic run, one tempo run, one more aerobic ride, one more tempo ride, usually a long ride. And then I'm a swimmer, so I just swim.
Yep.
I did a bunch of fly today. That was really fun after doing bench press last night. Thanks. But nutrition is also super huge. And so I do a ton of meal planning. I have worked with a nutritionist before. And so I've got my macros pretty much written in. And so I knew today I swam in the hour 5 this morning. I had an hour and a half hard tempo ride tonight. And so I planned out all my food yesterday. I sat down with my little macro counter. I was like, all right, I need more carbs because I have this really hard ride. I need to make sure I got all my protein in, boom, 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 done. And even the order of it, because if I had too much protein too close to my ride, bad things tend to happen. So I'm always like thinking about what am I doing the next day? How can I plan my food? The other thing I like to do is every night, I don't know if you guys pay attention to the ready state. I'm gonna make your thing really long, sorry, but they're super wonderful and they've got really great recovery practices. And so I do a wind down routine most every evening that's just sitting on the floor. They find a lot of value in just having your bones sit on the floor. And then I just add in some nice stretching. I've got my little recovery center with my massage gun and my little press ball and
Mm.
all of that stuff. So I'm just watching TV. You may as well be doing something. And so having that extra roll session just really kind of helps your lymphatic system. It helps engage your parasympathetic system, and it helps me make sure I can go to sleep.
100%. Well, sweet. You've got recovery dialed because that's going to be the
I,
hardest part, you know? And that was one reason why I wanted to like include a yoga session somehow. And Agnes and I have been talking about it for months. And I was like, let's just do it. We need to just do it because I need to
yeah,
I need to offer this to folks because I'm not a trained yoga professional. Yeah, maybe I'll get into it eventually because I love yoga. But it's important and I'm glad you brought that up, Erin, because I think folks have a hard time fitting it in. Think about what do you already do, especially if you have kids? What do you already do that's kind of your time? And even if it's like a decompressed time, that you can kind of just sneak in even just a few minutes of recovery alongside of that. Perfect time is watching TV before bed, because you're sitting again on a sofa or a chair or something. And especially if you've been sitting all day, it can just kind of snowball that a little bit more. So I really recommend taking those few moments, use Erin's tip and get some stretching in, maybe even like have the yoga going alongside of that. Even doing like the post ride wind down that I have, because I do talk about elevating feet, much like Ready State. It's huge for, getting that parasympathetic system, triggered so that way you can recover and just feel better and kind of have like a moment, especially if you're not. I know a couple folks are shift workers, so I know your evening is a little different because you're heading to work. But if you're not a shift worker, having those few moments to yourself to kind of decompress before you get ready for bed is like amazing. So thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up.
yeah. To survive Ironman training, you can't do it without a solid recovery protocol because you're riding 7 hours
Mhm.
and then the next day you're running 20.
Yep. And
And
then,
if you feel like garbage, you're not going to get it done.
yeah, no, exactly. Not to mention like brick workout days and all this other stuff. And yeah, there's no way. Yeah. Not to sound like a Debbie Downer and like things are impossible, but you have to be,
No,
you
you
have
just
to be
have to be super on
cognizant.
top of it.
Yes, you really do. Like as hard, if you're working out harder, try to recover harder, and try to put forth the same effort towards recovery. And this is especially important for anyone in the group, myself included, who has some sort of autoimmunity thing going on. All right. Because I feel like a lot of us are going through that right now. Um, and it's just important, just to help prevent those triggers that can kind of bring about um episodes. Yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah. And for my long days, I do 30 minutes of yin
mm,
after those long things. I think just laying there and breathing does many, many good things.
yeah. And yin yoga is just so pleasant because you hold these poses. You're not holding yourself up, I mean, as much, and you're just kind of like relaxing. Well, for me, it's trying to relax into certain poses and just kind of trying to do those bends. And, yeah. Yeah. For me, yin yoga, like focusing on hips is so amazing. Hips and back, so yummy.
Yeah.
Yep,
Just
you're
don't
taking your
ask
shoes
me
off.
to engage my hand. Yeah. Trainer ride is
Sweet.
done. Okay.
Well, thanks for sharing that. Kara, are you on mute?
Yes, I am.
Let's do
Oh,
it.
now that I can actually breathe.
Yes. Hey,
So,
that's fine.
uh, so mine, I would say I did racing a couple years ago, kind of got into a slump in the last 6 months. We just were like, our summer here in Arizona was very hot and it was hard to get motivated. So 5 of my girlfriends decided we're going to do Utah Hut to Hut in September, and which is six, for those of you who don't know, it's 6 days of biking. It's bike packing light, or we call it bougie bike packing, because you have a hut that you go to. But it's 30 to 40 miles of single track a day. So it's and 6 days in a row. So we decided to do the full route. It starts at Bryan Head, and then you have a hut or a storage container with bunk beds and food each night. But to motivate us through the summer to get our consistency rides in and have fun with it and have something. So I decided I need to have a goal, but didn't want it to be a racing goal. So we threw that out there.
Well, it's like an experience goal, which to me is my personal favorite type of goal. Like, I mean, I'm all about racing, but I'm also not because I'm not really racing against other people. I'm going to be racing against myself. So I'm real big on experiences and having some sort of experience goal like that. So thinking about bike packing, and by the way, I love the term bougie bike packing. That's probably the only type of bike packing I would do. Because I have this thing that I have an irrational fear that I'm going to be barefoot in a tent. Like I don't know why. So I just don't do bike packing. And also because it panics me a little bit to like run out of food and become hangry around my friends. So I'm just gonna, if anyone in the group wants to like broaden my horizon with bike packing, by all means do.
Well,
So you said
I did a big bike packing last year and survived it. So it was 220 miles in 4 days, and it was very hard. It was 18,000 feet of climbing. I was probably not 100% realize what I was getting into, but I finished it. 30 of us started, and only like 16 of us finished. It was just a local group thing in Arizona on where I live. But so this was more like attainable, and the 5 girls haven't done, most of them haven't done bike packing. So it was a fun way for us to get our rides in this summer when it's 115 and have a goal to
yeah.
drive to.
Hey, Jen, I bike pack. I'll drag you out.
Erin, no, you're not.
I
No,
go solo.
I'm just kidding. How do you, God, I don't know if it's growing up and watching like Unsolved Mysteries and like Dateline. I have
It's
an
because
irrational fear that
Florida.
I'm going to be murdered in the woods. And Erin also agrees with that. Not this Erin, but my Erin also agrees with that fear. Like she's just like, I want to know, I want your tracker on your phone on at all times. And we're not like psychotic, but she also listens to extensive Crime Junkie podcasts. So like she does that to herself. But anyways, I might take
I
note
grew up
maybe for an
backpacking and I was
overnight.
a park ranger in Montana. So
Well, okay, so
Oh,
maybe
wow.
maybe we'll do an overnight sometime.
yeah, it'd be fun.
But I'm gonna have to borrow gear because I only have a camper van. We can talk. But so Kara, so okay, you said 6 days, right? And about 30 miles
Yeah.
a day.
Yeah, 25 to 40. I would say the average is 30 a day.
Okay. And what are some like stair step goals with your when it comes to your weekly and daily behavior and habit changes that like resonate with you? Or do you need help figuring that out?
Getting back to doing your program.
I know. There's
I,
ebbs and flows based on illness and injury. You're fine. It's normal.
uh,
It's normal.
I seem to like to break ribs. I'm not sure why, but that was my third
Yeah.
one in the last couple of years. This time was from pickleball, so I can't even blame it on a really cool jump line or something. But so getting back to doing my work-life balance and making sure I get to the gym, which is right here at work. So I really have no excuse. Doing that, 2 days a week, getting and just being more consistent, and then stepping up days in a row, whether it's being in the gym and doing intervals, and then we ride every Tuesday, but just being more consistent,
Yeah.
and building that base in the beginning, and then when it gets closer this summer, one of the girls lives in Flagstaff, who's going with us. And so we're going to go up and get somewhere 3-hour efforts up with her in Flagstaff.
That'd be great. Flag would be fantastic for training for that, especially elevation and stuff. You've pretty much hit everything on the head in terms of just getting consistent with showing up to your training. I'm guilty of that as well, and I'm coach. Like I should know better, but and I don't like to should all over myself, but I just did. But it's one of those things. It's a big difference in, especially in your line of work, because you're caring for other people. I'm just gonna, if you don't mind me, like sharing with folks, like she works in
Go for it.
healthcare. Okay, she works in healthcare. It can be kind of exhausting providing care to other people. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's your giving of yourself to another individual, especially in a healthcare setting. Okay. It can be a lot. There's a lot of empathy and compassion involved in healthcare. So, whether you're doing research or not, it doesn't matter. But showing up for yourself can be so difficult sometimes. So finding the time of day, to really get it in. Do you find it the afternoon is probably better for your work schedule or morning?
I find I try to leave work at 4. For some reason, I can bike at 5 a.m., but I cannot get to the gym at 5 a.m.
Yeah.
So,
Here.
and I find if I start the week on Monday, like we usually have a big biking weekend. So then if I get in the gym on Monday, it just it sets me up for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then I'm not thinking about when am I going to get that first workout in. So then the second one just kind of falls into place. So I'm trying to make Mondays consistent.
Hell yeah. No, I love that. And I'm all about the never miss Monday plan. Because remember, I know you were with Shred Strong when we first started back in like 2021, 22, just like my community. And back then we had Monday as our deadlift day and hinge day. And then I was like, but then people were like, I'm annihilated from riding all weekend. And I was like, shit, maybe I got to change it. But keep in mind, you can move your workouts around on the calendar however you want. Just tap and drag it on whatever day you need.
Yeah.
And yeah, Carrot, you're doing that. So I would say you're already aware that, okay, Monday, I need to go ahead and do a never miss Monday workout. So get in one of those strength training sessions that feels good for you, because it doesn't matter. Like there's no secret sauce in what strength session you do first or last or whatever. And then you already have a plan for the rest of the week in terms of like getting your miles in. You have a plan for Flagstaff going forward, so you can get some climbing and distance in, which is good. Plus, it'd be nice to connect with some of your riding buddies. But yeah, mark your calendar just like a patient, a study coordinator, like, I don't know, first patient in. Give it priority as much priority as a first patient in visit, okay? Or like a CV visit. We're just nerding out on research because she's a research coordinator. So like that type of like, okay, it's a fire under my ass. I need to have everything figured out. Do I have the lab kit? What's going on? Does that make sense? Oh.
Yeah, for me, it's just being consistent. Once I get into the routine, then it's good.
Yeah.
So I'm using now in the winter to get into the routine so that when it gets hot, I'm in the routine. And then I think it's easier to get up at 5 a.m. once you've already built that habit. So that's what I'm trying to do this winter.
Yeah. I love it. Kara. All right, if you want to chat more about your goals, let me know.
32 degrees and snowing here. It's snowing in Arizona right now in Scottsdale, and it's 32 degrees. So opposite of our summers, which is not usual.
So wild. Out of all the years that I traveled to Arizona for research, like I never experienced snow there. And I went like at least every month, sometimes twice a month, never got snowed on. But I sure as hell would have the 115-degree summer days. Well, sweet Kara, I'm excited. Touch base with me if you need help.
Perfect.
Right. I'm gonna unpin her. Anyone else need some help? Or even if you just want to like talk about like, hey, I'm having a hard time scheduling something. Can I like have a swift kick to the butt? I'm here to be your swift butt kicker.
I'm on the trainer also.
Oh. I love it. Jess. I love how. What'd you say?
Oh, I said I can hop in real quick. I don't have any, like, I guess compared to everybody else, none of my goals are as fantastic. I don't have these huge stretch goals. I do have a 50K gravel race coming up in February 4th. So like the big challenge there is just going to be like not dying because it's cold or icy. So I'm not super worried about the distance. I typically do a 50K once a week anyway, so that's fine. But also doing Ned Gravel, the 50 mile in July, and then SBT, the 62, the red course in August. And then this year I'll turn 50. So kind of toying with the idea of doing a white rim, but super bougie, fully supported. Like I'm just there because it's my birthday. So I don't have any fabulous goals. As I'm listening to everybody, I'm like, oh my God, maybe I should have a goal. But honestly, as like a business owner, entrepreneur, and I have a team of full-time employees, like and I have kids, I have teens too. So for me, the challenge is always like, how do I make myself first and get all the workouts in?
Yeah.
So none of my goals are like to win. I have no desire to podium. I just want to survive, and not just survive. I want to feel good afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. Survive and thrive. I think it's a good combination. You're gonna Kaiser Permanente it. You're gonna thrive. Right. Sorry, bad healthcare joke. No, I love it. And you don't have to have a stretch goal by any means.
Yeah.
And you have SBT later in the year, right?
Yeah,
SBT
August.
Travel? Yeah, August. What distance are you gonna do then?
Red. So 62 or 65, whatever it is.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I thought about it, and like 100 was going to really be a stretch. And so it was like, well, then I'm going to spend all my time training for this gravel race. I'd rather spend half my summer riding mountain bikes. So I'm kind of like that pan cyclist. Like when I'm on my mountain bike, I'm cheating on the gravel bike. When I'm on the gravel bike, I'm cheating on my mountain bike. And I do have a goal, actually. I do have a goal to ride my mountain bike at least once a week, every week between 49 and 50. So I'm like 14, 15 weeks into it now.
Oh, damn.
And yeah. But the only requirement is that it has to be fat tires and it has to be a minimum of 5 miles. So it's a low bar there. But like today, the wind was so intense. Like I got outside and I was like, no.
Yeah, I had a hard time walking today. Yeah, I was like getting like thrown. I had things flying at me like in our neighborhood because we live in Denver, and there's random things that fly in the city of Denver, especially on trash day, because trash day was yesterday. So it was Dodge game. Okay, are you doing Old Man Winter?
Yes.
Okay. It could be a crapshoot. So
I know. We had a group ride last week and it was like 23 at the start, which isn't terrible. But the sun never came out, so it stayed cold.
Yeah, it's unpleasant.
So that's part of, I guess, the challenge is just managing the unpleasantness of it, dressing for it, and being like, just having the mental fortitude to be like, yeah, but no, I'm going to go ride my bike and it's going to be super cold.
Yeah. Just be prepared to like be cold and think warm thoughts. I'm really big on that. Friends give me a hard time because like if you ever catch me at a cold ride, like Aaron and I just did a cold gravel ride last week. It was chilly. It was in the 20s when we started. And I was like, we're at the beach. We are at the beach right now and we are sipping on our favorite beverage and we have an appetizer coming our way. And like literally just thinking about those things, like doing a simple visualization, oh man, you start to feel a little toasty. At least I do. Other people look at me like I'm crazy, which I am, but it helps and it could help you.
I did not get the beach pep talk. I just got I did not remember the beach pep talk. I just remember being really cold.
Yeah, I told Alex. Maybe you didn't hear because I remember when
I was in the wrong group.
Alex and then it was just like we're freezing, but we're at the beach.
And like mixing your scratch with warm water and putting it in an insulated bottle goes a long way. So
that does.
So much easier to drink.
Yeah. So doing that and having those little tips, and as an entrepreneur, I think it's going to be a lot like Kara's situation and my situation, where you're literally putting things on the calendar and trying to have some sort of flexibility, because there are the random things that happen, like the website goes down, or like I'm going on things that have happened to me in the last 4 weeks that you all don't know, but like my website goes down. Or like a plugin doesn't work and it's non-existing, and it's something that changes the experience for you all, or there's an app update. Like, so for you, because your website is so heavily trafficked, Like it's one of those situations where you have to plan for those things, be fluid for those things in case things do go sideways. But even if it's just a matter of like, hey, I need to do this thing, even if I can just get 30 minutes in on the trainer, that's going to be better than no minutes. And then I'm going to come back 30 minutes later. If you can, if there's someone else on your team, because you're fortunate to have a team, which is good, but it is a team that you need to manage, which is unfortunate. But yeah, putting things on your calendar and just trying to make them like a date or a meeting with yourself. And it's so important, and it's something that can just be such a big game changer, especially for folks who are entrepreneurs or who have kids or who have all of these other things, or helping a sick parent or something like that, where you're giving of yourself to some capacity, and sometimes you can put yourself on the back burner a little bit. So yeah, I would say do that. You've got your nutrition figured out. I mean, I'm assuming, of course.
That's the easy part. Yeah.
Yeah, right. You're
I
like,
get to I
figured
get to
that
meal
out.
prep for a living. Like I get to meal prep and then show it on Instagram and get paid to do this. So like
Yeah,
I got that figured out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The rest
you're
of
like,
it.
I got that issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, as long as that's figured out, and then yeah, recovery because of everything else. So because your stress might be a little bit more elevated because of being, dependent on your own business for feeding yourself and your family, it's important to really definitely focus more attention on just recovery, putting your feet up against the wall, and like, you know, again, and this goes for other stressors too. I'm not saying like entrepreneurs are the most stressed individuals, but sometimes for entrepreneurs, there's no separation between work and life. And that's where it can get really difficult with boundary setting. So, by all means, I'm not trying to negate anyone else in the group. Please know that. I'm not about that. But there are, over the years as coaching, I've noticed certain individuals have just a higher stress and higher stress threshold. And usually that's healthcare workers, CEOs, entrepreneurs, people who have a little bit more on their shoulders, or people who have like multi-family, multi-generational individuals in their family home that they have to care for. That's also a huge stressor I've noticed. So make that time, Jess. And if you need a training buddy, you know where to find me. But yeah,
Yeah, we probably should ride so I can hand you cookbooks. So
yeah, there you go.
we got to make that Heil Ranch ride happen.
Yeah, I know. One day when it melts, maybe, I don't know. It's fine. It'll come up. Sweet. Well, thanks for sharing. But yeah, make that time for yourself. That's gonna be a biggest thing. And then just have like, you already have the day every week. That's a longer ride anyways. So continue with that. And then other than that, I do really recommend like having some sort of interval session at some point during the week, just because that helps kind of add a little bit of speed to the legs, or like a cadence variation to your legs rather. And it can help you kind of apply a little bit better like power and things like that to the pedals. So especially with Ned, and other things that kind of have a little bit more of a gnarlier climb in them, it can help your legs feel a little fresh when it comes to that. So, all right. Okay. I got really excited. Damn, it's 6:55 already. See, I got excited talking about y'all. Anyone else? Christy, you're upside down. There we go. I was like, oh. Hi. Excellent. All right. I don't see any hands. I don't see anything. I know folks were talking about like bike packing trips. Sounds so fun. It does. Veronica mentioned, she's going to be putting her goals on her office whiteboard so she can see them daily. Highly recommend that. Post-it note. I'm infamous for putting my post-it note like on my laptop or on my monitor that's behind me, just because it's nice to have it visual, like have a visual of it that you can see and you can't really escape. And just, remind yourself why. And I've talked about this. I believe I've done a podcast episode. Might have been a couple years. Might need to redo it. But getting clear on like why you're doing that goal and why or how it might make you feel better. Sometimes when we attach feelings, which I know it's subjective and it can kind of subjective feelings, it's very scary. But when we attach a feeling to it, it becomes a lot more appreciable. Like it becomes something that's very tangible for us versus something that is like seems far off or in a distance. Case in point, think about, like for me, I have a very vivid core memory of my grandmother's homemade spaghetti. Good old Italian Latin family background for me. And the sauce I can still smell to this day. I have a feeling and it makes me feel warm, makes me feel loved, it makes me feel so fantastic. That's a feeling that's attached to something because it is at my core, like it's just a core memory of me, of mine rather. Same thing can be applied to like, your goal, your big, audacious, hairy goal. What is the why? What feelings does that conjure for you? And sometimes it's helpful because I think like comfort foods and things that are memorable to you. I mean, we did just get through the holidays for many of us. And thinking about like, hey, what are some holiday rituals that just feel good and feel yummy to you and make you feel really good? And I know holidays might not be a joyous thing for everyone here, but just it could be anything. Birthday, I don't care. Like you gave birth to your child. Like, well, that might have not have been very enjoyable, but it might have conjured like a feeling for you. And I want you to just think about that feeling and okay, now apply it to a goal. Like, what are some feelings attached to that goal? Maybe it's just the feeling of accomplishment. Maybe it's the feeling of not wanting to feel complacent with your training and stuff like that, or with your own health, and attaching this end goal to it it just feels good. Something can just feel good. It doesn't even have to be an elaborate feeling, but it's important. All right. Anything else? Any questions before we wrap up? I'm gonna go and eat dinner. No? All right. Thanks, everyone, for showing up. I really appreciate it. It's so nice seeing your faces. And yeah, thanks, Renee. Uh, don't worry, in the future, I'll reach out to Erin and kind of get some more details on the yoga once things warm up. Maybe we can do an outdoor yoga session on a Sunday. We can figure that out, and that could be like a little Shred Strong gathering. I think that would be fantastic. And it would be also really nice to meet others. I've met a lot of individuals in this group. Just over the years, whether we cross paths at a mountain bike festival or something like that. But I think it's just nice to get to know one another. And you never know, you might like completely gel with someone and be like, hey, you're going to be my new best friend. But yeah, awesome. Well, thanks again, everyone. Oh, I did have someone. Let me just make sure it's just Renee saying thank you. Awesome. Well, my goodbyes are long, so I'm going to make it short and sweet like me. And if you have any questions, let me know. But yeah, you'll get the email tomorrow from me with this recording. All right. Happy January. Happy consistency challenge, everyone. This is the best idea I've ever had with this consistency challenge. I'm so glad the app is doing that now. So hopefully that's enough to motivate you and get that fire lit under you. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Troy. And now it's the awkward goodbye.